Welcome back into the AT&T Fan Connection. I was going to say this is our first time doing it together, but we did it at the live show.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We
All
did.
right. It's fun. And we also get to see Jordan. Jordan, how are you?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
Hi, JR.
Amazing.
Hello.
What shirt are you wearing? Talk us through this. You always have some wild shirts.
I am wearing a Flower City 1872 shirt from Rochester, New York.
Yeah, you
are. One of our listeners sent some shirts. I think you guys got the Flower City Union shirts, and I got the women. I specifically asked for the women's team shirt, but I thought it's cool. They're called 1872 because Susan B. Anthony, a suffragette who helped get women the right to vote. She was arrested in her native city of Rochester in 1872 for trying to vote at a time when it was still illegal. And I think that's pretty cool.
I love that homage.
Yeah.
That's
very
really cool.
Always.
How are you guys?
We're good.
You're there together.
We're there.
I wish I was there.
I know. We wish you were here, but you're not. So, I mean, unfortunate. What do you got for us? Heat or what?
I got a couple of things. Let's start. Actually, someone else who has offered to send us some shirts for a team called Firelands United Football Club in Sandusky, Ohio. I don't know where that is. I'm going to have to get on a map and find out. Firelands United Football Club. They're a grassroots team. Yeah.
Okay.
Where is that?
Sandusky, Ohio.
All right. We're
wow.
We're gonna show love no matter what. Firelands.
Send us the shirts and we'll wear them. I'll definitely wear them.
Jordan just uses this segment to get shirts.
This is her part.
It's literally what she does,
which is amazing.
I'm here for the kits. So this is Andrew who sent this question in via email and who is involved with Firelands United Football Club. There, I've gotten it in like 3 times, so I'm good now. His question is: would a structure similar to that of Major League Baseball work for soccer here in the U.S.? Every major league team has several minor league teams affiliated with them. These teams are used to train and develop players for the majors. Would a structure like this be beneficial for the growth of the game and player development? I know MLS has somewhat attempted to do this with MLS Next Pro, but it doesn't seem to be the best or most exciting structure. And there are tons of grassroots programs across the country. So why not partner with those?
It's actually a great question. It's a really good question. So in the past, MLS tried to do some version of that with USL. And so you would have, and this, it feels like so long ago, but it wasn't that long ago, where an MLS club would have literally an affiliation with the USL club, and you could send all your players would go there. Like Houston had it with Rio Grande Valley, with RGV. And they would send players there either for a few games or for a half season or for a full season. And it was actually a great development tool because RGV might travel to San Diego Loyal and play in front of 5,000 people, and it felt like it was still like a real game. I don't know. I think the divide now between MLS and USL is too big in the way they view each other. I think they went away from that. They were more collaborative in the past, and now they're more competitive. And so I think unless MLS itself creates some of these, which, the Galaxy have Ventura County, so it's some version of that. The problem is from a development perspective, MLS Next Pro, the games aren't real. They're just not. A lot of the games had been played in the past on like a Sunday morning. Now they're trying to play them at night, but there's very few games where you go into and it's a real game. So you don't get real development. But I'm not saying it wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, it comes back down to money, and I hate that I have to say that all the time. But like I think about the structure of minor league baseball, which is a good one. But everything is funded and funneled from the Major League Baseball, from the MLB team.
Sure.
And the same goes when you talk about youth systems and academies throughout Europe, whether it be England or Germany or wherever else. That's funded by the top club, and so there has to be an investment. Like Bayern Munich invests in their 18s, 19s, under 12s. Like they fully heavily invest in that. And so, I would say the size of our country is a challenge. It's not for baseball. So, that can be overcome, but I still think it's about money and return on investment. And we don't quite have that yet.
And the gap, JR, too, the gap that for a long time everyone in U.S. soccer and I think still worries about is sort of like that 16-year-old to basically 19-year-old, 20-year-old where you're now a pro, but you're not ready to play at the top. So where do you play where you're getting really good competition and really high level games? And from when I was in Germany, I didn't play for Leverkusen's first team, so I'd play for their reserve team. And the reserve team, we'd go away to some of these teams in the third league or the fourth league where there were 10,000 people,
for sure.
and you were playing against men who were real pros, real pros. And that's what USL has now. Those games are real games. In a lot of instances, people are playing for their livelihood. And I think MLS is struggling now to try to figure out how do they bridge that gap, because very few kids are going to play at 18, 19. And so how do you fill that gap?
Well, you made a good point, because I also think like some of these, JR, some of these partnerships are just partnerships in name only.
Right.
It's like they don't own the club. So we're going to send 5 players to you and we're going to demand that you play them. And someone within the organization who owns the organization, and maybe rightfully so, is going to go, I don't really like you. The partnership sounded great in the spring when we signed the contract, but I don't really like you dictating to me who's going to play for my team.
Or the coach of that. I'm not playing him, right? He's not good enough to play. So it is a challenge. It's a really good question.
Here is a question from Brian via email, who says, greetings from Alaska.
Wow.
Oh,
Someone's
love
listening
that.
to us in Alaska. He asks, will Luka Modric be good for Christian Pulisic?
First of all, can we do a live show in Alaska? How rad would that be?
You would love that. I'm not sure I would. But
How far is a flight from New York to Alaska, by the way? That's got to be far.
Long. Can we go in the summer? Because I do not want to go when it's dark all year round. No,
I can't imagine a scenario where Luka Modric is bad for anybody.
Sure.
But in particular with Christian, I think it's going to be fantastic. They share that, obviously, that relative Croatian heritage. Obviously, Luka is much more Croatian, I think, than Christian would admit, even to being. But that's a fantastic mentor to have. I can't imagine many guys in the world who would be better for an American in their prime than Luka Modric. So I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I share that. I think they're not the same player, but still a player who kind of skates across the grass and ball dominant, looks to go get on the ball, make the game. Has played at the highest level, won everything there is to win, for the most part. That's a big thing.
And probably as much off the field as on the field.
Sure. So, and look, these people who are meant to come in and give advice or mentor, they're only as good as the person receiving the information. If Christian, and I don't have any reason to think he isn't, if he's open to receiving that advice and that guidance, it'll pay dividends for sure.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
Here is a question via YouTube from another person named Andrew. What is the language dynamic in clubs where so many players are from different countries and speak different languages?
Such a great question.
How does the quote unquote common ground for language get established, if it does? And what is that communication dynamic like playing with players who don't speak your language?
It's amazing.
That's a great question. So there's levels to this. So if, for instance, I went to Leverkusen at 16, I didn't speak a word of German. So it was incumbent upon me to learn German, right?
Yes.
The coach was German. 99% of the players I played with on the youth teams were German. And so I just had to learn German. The bigger question, and I don't know how much insight you have to this, is if you go to you go to Saudi Arabia and you've got Dutch coaches there, and there's a bunch of Brazilians and there's a bunch of, Norwegians and what happens? How does that work? And half the team are Saudi and speak Arabic. I actually don't have the perfect answer, because when I was in England, you just learn English. You're there.
Sure.
But in some countries, it's such a mix, and I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, I've never had a coach where we needed a translator, and people think that's funny. They do. So in certain clubs, depending on where they recruit from, let's say you had an English manager. Wolves is a good example, right? If you had an English manager and you recruited a lot of players from Portugal, they might actually have someone on staff who is an interpreter.
Right.
And that interpreter is just everywhere. He sits with the players. When the team huddles up on the pitch, he's around them. What I would say is in the dressing room, and Landon made a really good point. When you're a younger player and you're going into a club as a young reserve, it's really hard. It is far easier when you're an established pro and you come into a first-team dressing room. Because in a first-team dressing room, everybody just wants to get their arm around you. Everybody's going to help you in some sort of way. They're not going to test you and go, this kid can't hack it. And so in the dressing room, let's say at Everton, which again, some of this you witnessed, you have the English-speaking players. Okay, no problem. So you come in and you'd have Sylvain Distin, who's a French speaking player, but speaks really good English. So Marwan Fellaini, who only speaks French, comes in, and all the French speaking players will be together, and one of them will be the alpha, one of them will be the translator, and they'll say this is what he wants, and so it kind of becomes this brotherhood. I mean, the funniest one for me was we had the Nigerians, right? So we had Yakubu, Anichebe, and Yobo. And then Stephen Pienaar came into the mix. All these guys I love. Stephen Pienaar, South African, and they be speaking this language. And I would say to them, seriously, guys, what language are you speaking? Because if I'm not mistaken, 3 of you from Nigeria and Stephen's from South Africa. Stephen doesn't speak Nigerian, and they told me there was just like this made up kind of dialect that they all kind of understood. Amazing. It was amazing, and so really good question. It's a hard dynamic when you don't know the language.
And I will tell you, like as a young player in Germany, my coach, God, I loved him, Peter Herman. He, on Friday before the Saturday game, after training, we'd sit in the locker room and he'd do, I swear to God, he'd do like a 45-minute philosophical speech in German. And you can imagine. And I was sitting there like, oh my God, didn't understand a word and just sat there. The players who spoke German hated it.
Yeah.
Imagine me sitting there. It was miserable. And by the way, players are very clever with like, I don't know if Fellaini ever learned English, really, but like he should have learned enough English. But they're very clever with, deciding how much they actually want to learn and not learn.
It's funny you say that because I don't know the ages or if they make a senior player do this, but I know in Holland, from what I've heard, they make like nobody wants to take English or Dutch lessons or whatever, right? I think Josie was telling us this, Josie Outdoor, and he said everybody hates going to their Dutch tutor. Like it's like one more thing on my plate, and so the team rule was you can stop going to Dutch lessons when you give your first interview in Dutch.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So basically, it expedited you going to your Dutch lessons so that you can give your first.
And you try to speak. That's part of it is just putting yourself out there. Yeah, that's great. It's a great question.
I mean, honestly, guys, if I was working underneath Moyes, I would need a translator and he speaks English.
I told you.
Moyes,
Some of those first meetings, I had no clue what he was saying. Zero.
Didn't know what Moyes was saying. You go into the city of Liverpool, you need a translator for people who speak Scouse. It's the whole. God bless me.
Okay, last question. This one's from DJ via email. I have a question for both of you. Looking back at your past World Cup experiences, would you say losing to Ghana in 2010 was the biggest World Cup disappointment due to the way the bracket lined up? I can't see the U.S. ever getting a knockout draw like we did in 2010.
I wonder what was the bracket after that?
He might just
maybe
are you saying in 2014?
Oh, just getting Ghana in a knockout.
Like having the bracket work out in I guess what he's insinuating.
I mean, in 2002 we had Mexico, and like that was a dream because Mexico was a good team, but we knew them. We weren't scared of them.
Yeah, there's going to be a time where it lines up again. Also, I mean, we won that group in 2010 as well, right? And when you win a group, which is hard, you then are going to get maybe not a world power.
Right.
And look, quite frankly, we can say how things lined up, and let's be brutally honest. It's not like we were favorites just because we won the group. Like Ghana was a good team, very evenly matched. Like, So, I think we have to remember who we are and where we kind of sit in the football landscape.
I was with someone last night who was at U.S. Soccer for forever, and we were at dinner, and they were talking about 2026. And we were talking about all the things, everything that went on this summer, Pochettino, whatever. And he said, it's going to come down to 2 games, right? It's going to come down to, we'll get out of our group, I think. And he's like, then you have a round of 32 game, you either win or lose. And if you win it, it's going to come down to 1 more game. And that everything is going to be judged.
Sure.
And he has such perspective because he's been in the sport. He's working for somebody on TV in 86 in Mexico, right? So like he's seen it forever, and he's like, and it always does. I mean, the Algeria game came down to 2 minutes, not 2 games, right? And so everything's going to be judged on that, and so it's important to keep that all into context because the bracket, how it all plays out, whatever. I mean, it does matter, but then it's coming down to, do we win that round of 32 game? Do we win a round of 16 game? Do we get to a quarterfinal? We'll see.
That's such a stupid. So if we. I'm racking my brain. We won the group. and I'm thinking 2010. But
Yeah.
we won the group, and we had 5 points. Is that right?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Whatever.
You know, just that game too. I remember that the
Mm.
Ghana game. I think it was 3 days later. I remember it came really
Quick.
fast.
Yeah,
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 and
yeah,
that was a weird thing too with how it was set up. Like because we won, we played late. We were one of the later groups. We
Right.
played 3 days. It was a
Right.
little bit of a punishment too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Anyway,
Sorry, now I'm like looking at how the whole thing. Yeah, you
Yeah.
had 3 days. There were 3 days.
3
in
days,
between.
right? Yeah, I thought
Yeah, because
so.
you were the first. You were like one of the first games in the round of 16
Yeah.
So who didn't go through?
from your group.
Yeah.
Slovenia, Slovenia and Algeria.
Slovenia, Algeria. It's such a weird thing to be on
Yeah.
the cusp of winning your group or
Going out.
That's
That
just a
was
strange
minutes. I mean, that's
it's
the
a
World
strange
Cup.
mix though. Like going out and just getting through, I can understand, but going out and winning a group
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
are like
'cause-
both extremes.
Because of how it played out.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and ironically, the other team to come out of your group, England, also didn't win their
who'd
round
they
of
play?
16 game. Germany.
Ooh, yeah, that's tough.
Yikes.
Also, just Tim, I feel like you've mentioned this before that one of the benefits of an expanded World Cup is getting more great teams into the World Cup.
Mhm.
But by the same token, there's also going to be some teams that are just getting through based on numbers, right? So
Correct.
there's
Yeah.
more opportunity for, like you said, great teams to make great appearances, but also there's always a chance that you're going to end up either in a
Totally.
group or, you know, with someone who's making it easier for you to move on.
Yeah,
to.
we're gonna have to readjust the margins and we'll get into this over the next year at nauseum.
Yeah,
but like,
you're right.
Someone mentioned to me who is who I respect a ton in the U.S. soccer landscape, and they're saying like round of 16 is success, and I said to them, but hang on a minute, round of 16 is the old quarterfinal.
Correct.
So I'm like,
Correct.
I don't think that's I would think this team is successful even if they don't get to the round of 16, depending on because there's one more game.
Right.
So maybe they believe on the inside.
But
that
if
they
you, and look, we don't need to get into the weeds too much, but there are 12 teams who are seeded.
Yeah.
The top 9 teams in the world plus the US, Canada, Mexico.
Right.
So we're going to avoid the top 9 teams in the world.
Sure.
And then you're going to get one of the next 12 best teams. And if it's the worst of those teams, and then it goes down and down. So, I mean, getting out of a group is an absolute must and will be, and it will happen. But then from there, you're right. I mean, it depends on who you get drawn against, whatever. But that is the old round of 16.
but that's the whole point about being the host is there's 9 best teams in the world, and I don't necessarily know Mexico aside, but maybe in the same group, like Mexico, U.S., and Canada, they don't have any God-given right to then go, oh, we're getting the second best in like if they play a team, like if they play let's say they play Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
Canada, or U.S. I'm not saying like, oh, this is a nailed-on win.
No.
Right? Get what I'm saying?
No.
Just given
Or
the
you
fact
play Norway, or
yeah, sure.
yeah,
Sure,
no, I know that's
Yeah,
true.
because you could play the 10th best
Of course,
team in the
of course.
world.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And may all of those terrible teams you talked about be in the US's group next
Yeah.
summer, Jordan.
Yes, please. All right. That was
Thanks,
great.
JR.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.